Hello, freak bitches.
Believe what's on salon.com. Look, so it's impossible to believe those things in good faith because you have to lie to make that. You have to lie so much to yourself and to others in order to make those arguments. That it is one long practical joke, that site. It is just a gigantic piece of satire. I'm convinced it's funded by the Koch brothers to discredit liberalism. I'm convinced.
Really?
I'm absolutely convinced. If you trace the Salon money back far enough, you will discover the surname Koch, because it is the only explanation for how badly Salon discredits progressivism. It is the only explanation. Just today, they published another editorial from this fucking paedophile, who I wrote about, and he wouldn't even dare bring my name up because he's too scared to get into it with me because he knows he'd lose. He published this thing about how, I'm a paedophile, but I don't act on it. Right after I'd exposed a paedophile, Sarah Nyberg, in Gamergate, right, and it went all over the world, and it was this huge story that I broke.
Hold on.
Then I'm going to start at the beginning. I exposed this.
You exposed a pedophile.
I exposed this pedophile. She was backed up, and all the social justice warriors doubled down and protected her because she was, on message, basically. She had the right politics, so they stuck up for a kiddie fiddler. This is the state of the modern left. Directly after that, with coincidental timing, Salon publishes this thing by a pedophile saying, "Oh, well, I'm a pedophile, but I don't act on it," which is precisely the defense that this person had used. So I respond, and I did a very good piece, and I urge all of your listeners to seek it out because it really is excellent journalism. It was called something like "This is why the left, this is why progressives stick up for paedophiles." Explains why paedophiles can get away with this stuff and why progressives and liberals back them.
You think people back pedophiles?
Yes, they do.
Who backs pedophiles?
Well, they make excuses for them. As Salon just did today. Today, they gave a space to this guy who is a paedophile about whom there is horrific stuff online, which hasn't come out yet, which, you should watch this space for that, because I know Stephen Crowder knows about some of it, and so do I. Excuse me.
This guy who wrote this article, did he give his real name?
Under his own name. This is how brazen they are. Wrote a second piece for Salon today, playing the victim, saying that he came out as a paedophile and he's been subjected to right-wing hate.
So
that this is the right-wing machine in action.
He's saying, I'm a paedophile.
I'm a paedophile, and I think so. I'm a paedophile, and I don't act on it. And I did this piece, and everyone came out and said that it was really supportive and it was really great, and that I'd help people to get through their own experiences, and everyone was really sympathetic, except the right-wing hate machine, meaning me, although he didn't dare mention me by name.
You are the right-wing hate machine?
Well, apparently, according to him. Except the right-wing hate machine had the temerity to say we think paedophilia is wrong, and why is Salon giving a platform to this guy when there's so much dirt on the internet suggesting that he has physically touched young girls, for example? And I'm going to publish.
There is.
Yeah, there is.
Okay. Well, that's a completely different argument, right?
Yes. Well, this is the thing. Salon gave a platform to this guy, and Salon ought to have known about these allegations. If you're going to make space on your platform for a self-confessed pedophile, and you will only find this on the left. This is what I mean by the left sticking up for pedophiles. They make excuses for them. They try to legitimize them. They try to habilitate this as an unfortunate sexual orientation rather than these people being dangerous predators that we need to be protected from.
But I've never seen that. But you're saying this. All I've seen is this one article where this guy is discussing this. But no, honestly, all bullshit aside, psychologists and sociologists and neuroscientists have tried to figure out what it is that causes someone to have these desires.
Yes, but we know from the transgender debate the left doesn't care about that. What it cares about is who it can, where it can place people in the oppression Olympics, in the victim hierarchy. And I'm warning you now.
That is the worry that people have.
I'm warning you now. Pedophiles are going to be the next. Transgender's been won now. They've won that battle. It's over.
Do you think so?
Yes,
honestly,
absolutely. It's done and dusted. We lost.
Well, don't you think
we lost? By we, I mean people who actually wanted to find out what the science said. What I objected to is simply telling people lies. Born this way is a lie, and because.
But isn't it a true story with some of them?
Well, nobody that's holding the signs, because most of the ones holding the signs, the militant homosexuals, are the ones that chose to be gay to get at people.
Now, do gays disagree with you? Do you have debates with gay people about this? Or is this...
Well, most gays won't debate me because they know they'll lose. Because they've got woman brains. They're not very good at logic.
They've got woman brains.
I'm just kidding. You accused me of trolling earlier, so I thought I'd better live up. I thought I'd better live up to the reputation.
Well, you certainly do, and you're also very aware that your right-wing views and the right-wing views, you kind of a little bit of a right-wing bend to you. You talk about conservatives and you're wearing a suit and tie. This right-wing thing, though, like a good way to align yourself in the club is you have to espouse Christian values or talk about being Christian.
I don't give a stuff about what the conservative establishment thinks of me. If I did, my career would have turned out very differently. I would have chosen a very different path through my professional life. I was at the Telegraph, the most respectable establishment newspaper in England 8 years ago. If I'd wanted to be, a scion of the conservative Republican establishment, I could have done that. I did the exact opposite. I've stuck my nose up and my middle finger up at conservatives at every available opportunity. Poor Breitbart, who put up with so much from me. They publish black dick jokes every week from me, and that is a direct assault on the kind of stomach churn that the conservative right is always said to have about gay things. Right? I don't just tell them I'm gay. I tell them I'm sucking black dick. Right?
Yeah, but you write some really good columns.
I do, and they're very funny and entertaining, and I'm right about everything.
And it also puts them in a very interesting place where they can say, look, we have a gay guy working for us.
I don't think Breitbart gives a stuff about whether people think they're homophobic or not. They certainly wouldn't hire me for tokenism.
They certainly do.
No, of course
everybody does.
Trust me.
Okay.
Breitbart doesn't care. Breitbart doesn't care if you think they're homophobic. They're not, but they don't care if you do.
Right.
What they care about is the facts of what they publish, and the facts of what they publish.
But this whole picture that we're painting here is so strange. Is someone who believes but doesn't practice. You believe in religion, but you don't practice any of the things that religion espouses, especially the sexual stuff.
I wouldn't say any of the things.
Well, the Catholic Church bought out the book. You can buy it now, but it's like now it got republished a few years ago by this guy named Jan Irvin, and so you can get a hold of it now. But for the longest time, you used to have to buy it as a used book.
Well, I will look it up.
Yeah, there's one also, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Christian Myth. He wrote a second one after the Catholic Church bought out the first one and stopped the production of it and bought out all the books. That's your people, Catholics, trying to hide that information.
We're great at PR.
The last thing they want. I went to Catholic school, man, for a whole year. Cured me. Well, fixed me up good.
That's where you get your fine sense of right and wrong from. No, wait, let's not do that.
Well, right and wrong as far as what is right and what is wrong.
With you?
No, I got lucky. They beat me a little bit.
What do you mean you got lucky?
You
got unlucky. You didn't get that taste of... no, like I said earlier, if it weren't for Father Michael, I would have given far less good head. I mean,
there was a real Father Michael?
So much less. He's going to get killed now. But
who is Father Michael?
I'm not... No, I bet...
There's a real dude? I should maybe suck his dick? For real?
Don't make me. I was quite enthusiastic about it. I fucked my English teacher too.
How old was he at the time?
I don't know. He's quite young, quite hot.
Really?
Yeah.
And so that's where it all started? With Father Michael?
No.
Was that post the tranny?
Yeah, it was post. So I wasn't abused
queen?
as a child or anything like that.
So
it was quite a
you already had the fivesome, and you're like, this is all wrong. I need to talk to Father Michael. He's like, suck my dick and shut the fuck up. And you're like, religion is awesome.
You see, I really had no hope, did I? I was never going to end well.
Well, it seems like you kept stumbling into dicks.
I just kept falling on them through life.
I don't know what would have happened if a heterosexual man like me,
30 years, I've just been falling on dicks,
was in the same circumstances as you early on. I mean, obviously things would have went very different. So I'm not sure if I buy the not born this way.
You'd go down great in a gay club.
Go down?
Well, I mean, you'd go down. You'd go down. We have. Is that a British expression? You go down well.
No,
I don't mean oral sex.
Much. Yeah.
So go down well means you'd be popular. You'd
go
get
down
attention.
well would be like the way you would describe a meal or a drink.
Oh, like it goes down well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, we
like taking the piss.
Yeah.
It took me a while to get what the hell.
Right.
That
Like,
meant.
do you want a cup of my? Yeah. Which again is another thing gay people seem disproportionately into.
They're into peeing on each other?
Well, there seems to be
it's all sin.
There seems to be water sports.
It's all decadence.
This is it,
it's all against the
This
Lord.
is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
People are only gay to be transgressive.
Why
They
don't you just
choose
pray
to
the
be
gay
gay
away,
to be
Milo?
naughty.
How come you're not praying the gay away?
They choose to be gay to be naughty.
It seems like you have all the
being
right
a
components
homosexual
in place
I know,
to pray the gay away.
I just can't
full belief
tear
and
myself
respect
away
for Christian
from the dick.
values.
Can't tear myself away from the dick.
Come on.
Enough trying.
Maybe as you get older
Maybe
and
I
your
should be
sex
celibate or
drive
something.
dries up a little bit.
I always think I would have made a good priest. Do you think I'd make a good priest? I think I'd make a good priest.
Well, you make a good priest if you think the guy that made you suck his dick was a good priest. That kind of good priest.
He was a great priest. Honestly, like he was
he was good other than that?
I've never had a better singing tutor. He was great.
Singing teacher.
He got notes out of me I didn't even know I could produce.
Well, he worked your plumbing.
Shattering the chandeliers, kind of.
But was he good outside of what he did? Like, was he a good religious scholar? Was he a good teacher?
I think he was just a parish priest. I mean, I
just
really
a fucking creep getting his dick sucked then.
Yeah, he's gonna get lynched now.
How's he gonna get lynched? Do people know who he is?
I don't think so.
What's his name?
Well, I'm not saying anymore.
Well, how old were you at the time?
I don't know.
You were a little kid, and he was like what?
You're trying to.
Was he in his 20s or 30s?
Yet another feminist strategy that you have adopted in addition to your language policing.
Trying to out pedophiles?
No, trying to go on this.
You were the one who was anti-pedophile earlier.
I told you it wasn't the pedophilia. I was after I lost my virginity. I was in my teens. I was in my teens.
14.
I was in my teens. Something like that.
That's what you said. 14 is pedophilia, buddy. I don't know how they rock it in merry old England.
I was in my teens.
Over here in my country, and fucking where you are right now,
You've never seen a 15-year-old girl at any point in your life, however old you were, you've never seen a 15-year-old girl you thought was hot.
Yeah, when I was 15.
No, when you were 25. When you were 25.
I'm not retarded, dude.
When you were 25, when you were 30, you will have seen girls about 15 you thought were hot.
No,
of course
I thought they were little kids.
No, you didn't.
I thought, damn, she's gonna be hot, but I didn't want to fuck her.
Bullshit. Like,
not bullshit at all.
Look,
you can't tell me what I was born into.
I think if you're 14...
Born like this.
You were born this way. You were born a dreary nitpicker.
No, you're trying to make it so I'm a fucking creeper like you.
No.
I'm not into 14-year-olds. How dare you, sir? No.
I'm not into 14-year-olds.
Well, that
Don't
fucking
put this
guy
on
that
me.
you said's a great guy. He was into 14-year-olds.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he's a terrible person.
No.
He certainly was.
I was a very mature 14-year-old.
Yeah. Well, in your case, he got it right. You got the right guy to molest.
It wasn't molestation.
That's absolutely molestation.
It wasn't molestation. It was perfectly consensual.
I don't think it is when they're 14.
When I was 14, trust me, I was the predator. I was the predator.
You were the predator. You were chasing after the priest.
The instigator.
He was trying to stay close to God.
I was chasing everybody. I was aggressively seeking out sexual company of adults because I knew it would horrify people. Because I wanted sort of power over them. It was my way of rebelling. My way of rebelling. I was the predator at 14. Let me tell you.
Do you think that's what's going on with that guy who directed X-Men? Bunch of
Bryan Singer.
Yeah, a bunch of 14-year-old predators going after that poor man.
I'm not sure it's the case with him. No.
That's a guy.
You know, I lived in Hollywood a while ago.
Did you?
Briefly. And,
did you go to one of his parties?
I went to other people who I won't name of a similar stature in Hollywood. I went to their boat parties and to their house parties and things, and some of the things I have seen have beggared belief.
Yeah? Can you give us like a...
Well, just... I don't want to be indiscreet about specific people.
Right, you don't have to do that.
It's going
to dance around the facts.
Yeah, dangerous. But I can tell you the truth without dropping anyone in it.
Okay.
I mean, some of the boys there were very young. Very young.
And this is really recently?
I don't remember... No, like, I don't know, 8 years ago. I don't remember...
Statute of limitations.
I don't remember... whether I ever met Bryan Singer or whether I even knew who he was then. But I knew other people of similar stature, as I say, and there were some very young boys around at that time. There was a lot of drugs and a lot of...
twinks.
A lot of twinks taking drugs and having unsafe sex with older men, and some of these boys were very young.
What did you think about...
Desperate for a job, you know.
When Andy Cohen, the guy who runs Bravo, had to apologize for the use of the word twink?
Why would you apologize for twink?
I thought that was one of the most adorable things that I'd ever seen in my life.
Is he gay?
Yes. Gay as fuck.
And he said the word twink, and he had to apologize for saying twink. Yes. Because what? Because it was demeaning to somebody's...
He thought someone was like a perfect twink, and he made like a social media comment.
What the fuck is wrong with that?
Nothing.
Nothing's wrong with that.
Nothing.
My God. You see, this is the thing. You see, progressives are starting to police homosexuals' language. You know, I've got this theory, right? I believe that... pedophilia is the next progressive rehabilitation drive. But I also think that that homosexual white guys are going to be put back into the establishment bucket very soon. If you look at some of the whining editorials coming out of like the Daily Beast, this female columnists on the Daily Beast, who will publish things about, say, you know, on your Grindr profile, this app that you use to pick up guys nearby, which is basically just a sea of torsos, and you just pick who you want to get fucked by. It's great. No, I don't.
Jesus would have planned it out if he had an iPhone.
And I don't use it for that reason. Not for that reason. I don't use it because I don't need to. But on that app, some people say whites only. Some people say only Hispanics. People just express their sexual preference. Everybody has a sexual preference.
Right.
It's perfectly reasonable. But of course, you know, some progressive columnist has finally, like 5 years later, has cottoned onto this and decided to make a thing about it and said it's problematic that gay people express racial preferences in dating. Of course it isn't. We all have racial preferences. The OkCupid data actually shows us which races and which genders, you know, come out on top and come out the bottoms. Like Asian women do very well, black women do very badly. You know, and the sort of league tables of hotness of men and women. Anyway, so they're starting to police the language now and police the sexuality of homosexuals. I mean, there was me thinking we were sliding dangerously close to tolerance and understanding, and now progressives are starting to police the sexuality of homosexuals again.
Don't you think there's a game of gotcha, though? It's a game of gotcha. So that they're not really upset that.
Of course they're not upset.
They're looking for something to complain about.
Yes, but the problem with outrage culture. I mean, I've always said that only
outrage culture is what it is, right?
And the problem with outrage, the only way to approach outrage culture, which is what I do, is to be outrageous, right? Say ridiculous and outrageous things. Simply to draw attention to the people who get upset about it. Yeah, I think it's a very important project, and it's what I do in a lot of my columns. It's what I do on Twitter. I've done it a little bit today, and I think it's very important to.
Wait a minute, you've done a little bit of it today.
Well, I've been outrageous. I haven't said anything I don't believe, but I've been outrageous. Sure, I've been outrageous. A little bit outrageous, just a little bit. I've toned myself down for you because I know what a hulking heterosexual lumping.
Appreciate it so much. Don't threaten me.
No, I've.